you guys, Phantom Rider 698 here, coming to you live through the power of YouTube. And today we are actually going to be talking about how to ride in the winter. In the last video that we saw, we talked about winterizing our motorcycles and how important that is to preserve the life of your motorcycle if you're going to let it sit for a few months. Especially here in the colder states like where I'm at and here in Washington, where it does snow and the roads do ice over, and it's a little bit more difficult to get two wheels on the road than it would be per se in Southern California or maybe even Louisiana if you're in the southern states where it doesn't snow or ice over as often. Of my top 12 things you need to do if you're going to ride in the winter months. And this, I used to ride in the winter months. I really don't very much anymore, but if the roads are okay, then I'll still go out. Either way. Shadow is winterized, but not completely winterized, so taking Shadow out and cleaning her back up before putting her back in the garage is not out of the realm of possibility. But my top 12 for riding in the winter months. My number one is dress warm. So make sure you're wearing the right clothing and enough of it. So thermals, layers, whatever keeps you preserved. You may feel really good in the first 30 seconds to a minute out on the road riding around and you think you can do it. But 5 minutes down the road, you're going to kind of want to wish you were wearing a really heavy jacket or maybe another layer of pants underneath your riding pants too. My second tip to riding in the winter is waterproof your materials. So your shoes, your boots, your riding pants, your jacket, your gloves, whatever you are wearing, waterproof them, because you have no idea when the rain is going to come in, or even, God forbid, the snow sometimes. So just be aware of that. Make sure your material, your clothing, is waterproof, or you get soaked and you're going to get chilled real fast. My number 3 tip for riding in the winter: wear good gloves. Wear gloves that are waterproof, but also wind resistant too. Some of my summer gloves are actually really good at being resistant. However, there's little crevices in between the fingers, for instance, that allow a lot of airflow to come in. That's what you want to avoid, because it defies the purpose of having a glove if your hands are going to get cold. So make sure you wear the right gloves in the winter. Number 4, watch the temperature. When you go in the morning to work, whether you're going in at 7 or 8 in the morning, and it may be 40-45 degrees out and you're good at that temperature, by the time you leave work at the end of the day at 5:30, 6 o'clock, maybe it's 25 degrees. So be aware and watch out for the weather. And in the same topic, my number 5 is watch out for the weather and times you're traveling too. So you're traveling in the morning when it's nice and sunny out. By the time you're leaving work at the end of the day, maybe the snowstorm has come in and now it's snowing and pouring ice outside. So be aware of the weather ahead of time. Check your schedules and check the weather reports. Make sure the times match up right, and make sure you're able to get home safely too. So be mindful of the weather. 6 tip for riding in the winter: watch out for the shadows in the road, the frost, the black ice, and you usually encounter these little patches of the road around parts of the road where there's trees that are causing shadows in the road, hills, like mountainside. We have a few hills here in Yakima that have an issue with that. Buildings in downtown often will cause shadows on the road. Sun doesn't hit the road very often, so there's frost there, or black ice. And especially the bridges. If you're crossing over any bridges, always be leery of the black ice that's on the bridges too. That is always a death trap for anybody who's riding in the winter. So be mindful of the road and watch out for the shadows on the road too. Number 7, watch for the other drivers. They are not looking for you in the winter months. They're barely even looking for you in the summer months. And winter is no different. In fact, it's actually even worse, because nobody ever expects a motorcycle to be out on the road in the winter months. Be mindful of other drivers and always ride defensive, especially in the winter months too. That could save your life and save your motorcycle's life too. Number 8, be careful of wet roads. Wet roads can cause slippery conditions, and a lot of the roads that are around town here do get wet, and oftentimes they get wet, they kick up a lot of that car residue, oils, dirt, mud, debris, the crap that falls off from the undercarriage of your cars onto the road. The water will kick that up, get on your tires, and now you have a slick condition on your motorcycle tires. So be mindful of that. If the roads are wet, I would avoid riding that day. 9, check your ride. The tires and the tread good? Is the battery good? Does it start well in the cold? Be aware of the salt water on the roads splashing up onto the undercarriage of your motorcycle too. A lot of city workers, a lot of county workers, they'll use salt on the roads to de-ice the roads. They use type of de-icer on the roads. At least here in Washington they do, and I'm sure in a lot of other northern states they do as well. Be mindful of that kind of stuff kicking up from your tires up onto the undercarriage of your motorcycle and getting into places where it shouldn't be. That stuff, as many of you folks, if you're from Wisconsin or Minnesota, know, can really do a lot of damage and wear out and corrode the metal components of the undercarriages of your car. You'll even see some of the side paneling of trucks and cars kind of wearing away because of that corrosion. What do you think happens with the same thing with a motorcycle? Think about it. Be aware of it. Be mindful of it. If you're going to ride in the winter, make sure you're keeping an eye on the undercarriage of your motorcycles, keeping it clean. Take it through a car wash, blow some of that salted, chemically treated water off of the undercarriage of your motorcycle. Preserve it. Keep those components running fresh. Number 10 to my list. Do not speed. Move slowly and smoothly on the roads, because you never know when you're going to hit a patch of black ice, or if the roads are wet. If you move too fast or you make too many jerky motions, you could slip on the motorcycle and you go down. So be aware of your speed when you're riding in the winter months as well. Number 11. There we go. Number 11. Wear your helmet, obviously, but also wear a neck seal to protect your neck too. The times that I used to ride in the winter, and still do occasionally, but when I ride in the winter, I do have a pretty good jacket. I have good gear and everything, but the part that is exposed is this part right here, right in the neck here, and that hurts when it gets cold. So my advice is make sure you get like a ski mask that can come down underneath your jacket, that comes down to your chest here. Make sure it's like a ski mask and it's thermally insulated and you're protected right here, and it keeps you warm right in this spot here. This is probably the most exposed part while you're riding in the winter months. So be mindful of that. If you want to stay warm and you want to stay comfortable on your ride and you're going for a distance, make sure you're keeping an eye on this part of your body too. Okay. And finally, number 12. That works. Number 12. Be mindful of your following and stopping distance too. Again, this is kind of keeping in line with watching out for what other drivers do. Be mindful of how close you're following other vehicles, because they can stop suddenly and they got 4 tires. So if they kind of slip and slide a little bit, they're going to be okay. You have 2 tires. So if you have to slam on your brakes, whether or not it's icy conditions, frosty conditions, or wet conditions, you're going down. So be mindful of how close you're following to other vehicles on the road. And that's all I got, you guys. That's my top 12 list for staying safe on the road. If you're going to ride in the winter months and you're not going to winterize your motorcycle like I did with Shadow in the previous video, if you want to do some riding in the winter, you can do it. Just be safe about it and be mindful. Be safe for yourself. Be safe for your motorcycle, and above all, be safe for everybody else on the road too. Ride good, ride safe, and hit that like button and hit comments if you want to, and feel free to throw your opinions out there about how to stay safe in winter riding, and subscribe if you like the video, and hopefully we'll see you guys in the spring, and we'll be on the road again doing some more trips. So take care, and we'll catch you guys in the next video.